La meilleure musique. Les meilleurs DJ. La crème des animateurs. Tous dans une même radio. Bouge Radio. Bonjour à tous et bienvenue au podcast Sur la bande. Sur la bande. Sur la bande. Avec Sébastien Gadouri et Zachary Léveillé.
Bonjour la gang.
Hey, salut.
Salut. Comment ça va?
Ben, ça va bien. Écoute, je vais juste prendre le lead tout de suite pour expliquer aux gens. Podcast un peu spécial aujourd'hui. Comme on va avoir un invité anglophone, je vais prendre la place à Sébastien pour le segment. Sébastien va prendre ma place en coulisses. On va avoir Jérémy avec nous. Puis là, Jules va venir faire son segment pour être. Fait que c'est ça. Fait qu'en attendant, on va jaser un petit peu. Rob est
ton niveau d'anglais est pareil comme ton niveau de prédiction.
Ouais.
Avec les Honors, avec les Maple Leafs qui allaient gagner.
Je suis tired, là.
Mes deux prédictions là, de l'Est, ça n'a pas marché.
Mais qui aurait cru? Qui aurait cru sincèrement que Floride allait sortir en 5 Toronto?
Non, c'est ça. C'était.
Ouais. Si quelqu'un a prédit Floride, pour vrai, c'est un devin. Là, parce que, écoute, avec la saison qu'ils ont eue, il n'y a pas grand. Écoute, levez la main, là, ceux qui ont voté Floride, là, mais pas convaincu qu'il y en a tant que ça, même dans le temps, dans nos auditeurs.
Ben, tu sais, Floride, ils ont eu de la difficulté à même rentrer dans les séries. Ils sont rentrés quasiment la dernière équipe. Même, je pense, la dernière équipe à rentrer, ils ont failli finir 14e. Ben, 14e en termes de draft. Là. Donc, c'est sûr que c'est étonnant, mettons. Mais en même temps, moi, ce que je regarde, c'est Tkachuk et Goudas, qui sont deux gars tellement que tu veux dans ton équipe en série. Puis Tkachuk, en plus de ça, il a le talent.
Le gros Radko Goudas, est-ce qu'on va en parler de sa face qu'il a faite au jeune gardien?
Ouais, ben, allez-y, je vais en parler avec Renaud un peu dans le mille mardi. Fait que
OK. Mais moi, j'ai vu une affaire tantôt sur Facebook. Il demandait si c'était classless, fait que genre manque de classe, ou si c'est juste l'énergie du hockey des séries. Vous en pensez quoi?
Moi, je dis que c'est l'énergie du hockey des séries, c'est l'énergie à l'état pur. Je peux pas dire d'autre chose que ça.
Moi, je dis que c'est purement lui. C'est purement son style de faire
purement Goudas.
Ouais, c'est ça. C'est le genre de gars que tu veux, tu sais, que t'aimes pas ça jouer contre, parce qu'en tout cas, c'est purement son style, puis j'aime ça, là.
Fait que, est-ce que tu dis que c'est manque de classe, ou...
Ben, je dirais pas manque de classe, non, par contre.
Okay. Mais je comprends l'argument. Je comprends l'argument du manque de classe, mais c'est le joueur qui a le plus de plaquage dans la Ligue nationale depuis comme les 3 dernières saisons. C'est un dur à cuire. Moi, j'aime ça. Moi, un gars des séries qui a de l'énergie de même, qui a du caractère, tu viens de marquer, puis même, bon, il a retenu le bâton, puis là, le monde va dire, ça aurait pas dû être un but. Le nombre de petits coups chiens qu'on voit pas, qui se passent dans les séries de même, il y en a
juste
tellement
en première ronde, je pense que
ça fait partie. Ça fait
je pense que
partie.
c'est Hegel, là. En première ronde, il a reçu un bâton en pleine face, puis ça chialait pas trop à Toronto pour ça, là.
Moi, honnêtement, c'est sûr que, écoute, j'ai pas trouvé ça un manque de classe. C'est un peu arrogant. Écoute, mettons que ça se passe au hockey mineur, le gars, c'est clair qu'il y a 2 minutes pour anti-sportif. Sauf que, écoute, c'est ça. C'est dans l'énergie des séries. C'est un petit peu chiant, mais c'est ça. Écoute, si ça s'était arrivé contre les Canadiens, par exemple, c'est sûr que, bon, ici au Québec, ça aurait fait exploser le web, mettons. Là. Mais je trouve pas que c'est si pire que ça.
Mais comme je dis, d'après moi, en ce moment, c'est vraiment l'ennemi numéro 1 à Toronto. C'est presque sûr. Lui ou...
Wes McCauley.
Mais est-ce que... Je sais pas si vous vous souvenez, la série... mettons, c'est dans Bulle, là, quand les Canadiens affrontaient Flyers.
Ouais.
Je mets ça un petit peu comme quand Suzuki tapait sa tête à Hart. Là. C'est quand il venait de scorer. Là. C'est un petit peu la même affaire.
Mais ce qui aide beaucoup en ce moment à la Floride, c'est l'émergence, le retour du gardien à 10 millions, Sergei Bobrovsky. On peut se dire que c'est plus le même gardien qui était en saison. Là, et c'est quand même incroyable son retour au...
Ouais, et puis Bobrovsky,
c'est un... pas pour rien. Là.
Effectivement, c'est un gardien de séquence. Lui, quand ça va bien, ça va bien. Mais quand ça va pas bien, il voit, c'est comme son 10 millions, là, t'aimerais ça qu'il te leur donne. Là.
C'est ça. Ce sont ceux qui fonctionnent en ce moment, mettons.
Ouais.
Non, c'est ça. Puis je sais pas si vous avez vu ça, mais c'est un des goalers qui suit le plus dans la ligue. Il a parlé du fait qu'il avait perdu, je pense, contre le match 5, là, je pense qu'il a perdu comme 30 livres. Normalement, il va en perdre entre 15 et 20, mais là, il en a perdu 30 parce qu'il sue tellement et il boit beaucoup d'eau, fait qu'il y a comme un gros switch. Mais tu sais, perdre 30 livres, recevoir 50 tirs, c'est comme... Le gars est présent. Là. C'est peut-être la dernière fois qu'on le voit de même aussi, là, parce que l'âge va peut-être le rattraper pendant une saison de 82 matchs, c'est quand même long. Avec Spencer Knight qui va revenir, on verra. Mais les fans des Panthers peuvent profiter de lui pour l'instant, puis on verra s'ils sont capables de passer en finale. Encore une fois, on les doutait depuis le début, mais là, commence à prouver un peu tout le monde que tout le monde a tort, en fait.
Bon, on critiquait tout l'échange de Huberdeau Uyghur contre Kachuk. Là. On a tout critiqué cet échange-là.
Mais je pense que ça va faire du bien le congédiement de Daryl Sutter aussi. Là,
les
joueurs à Calgary.
Oui.
Déjà aussi, je pense qu'il a été congédié.
Je pense qu'il est encore là, Chevlin.
Non.
Et puis là aussi? C'est lui qui a quitté, hein, c'est ça?
En fait, moi, ce que j'avais entendu, c'est qu'il y avait comme une association entre le président et entre Sutter. Et que Treliving, lui, c'était comme s'il ne faisait pas les séries, il était out.
Okay.
Et après que Sutter allait peut-être monter DG, mais là, je pense qu'il y a eu tellement de backlash, il y a tellement eu de retours mauvais sur Sutter que je pense que l'équipe... Il avait même fait une conférence de presse en disant qu'il voulait aller plus jeune et plus... et sortir un peu de la... aller think out of the box. Je ne sais pas comment passer à l'extérieur de la boîte. Puis je pense pas que Sutter, c'est la personne pour aller hors des traditions.
C'est Huberdeau, je pense que l'écart de points entre les 2 saisons qu'il y a eu l'année passée et cette année, c'est le plus gros écart qu'il n'y a jamais eu, je pense. Ça, j'ai vu aussi.
C'est énorme.
Tu sais, écoute, on pense souvent de ce temps-là, pas juste nous autres, tout le monde, là, que le hockey change énormément. C'est rendu plus vite, c'est rendu un meilleur spectacle. Puis en même temps, Daryl Sutter, il était un peu plus old school. Pas juste dans sa façon de jouer, dans sa façon de coacher aussi. Fait que je pense que le changement était nécessaire.
On peut le voir avec le premier match de Pelletier. Puis même Huberdeau est sorti après en disant que dans le vestiaire, il avait parlé à Pelletier comme quoi il avait adoré sa game. Puis après, il arrive devant les médias puis il fait comme s'il ne savait même pas c'était qui Pelletier, ou presque. Là. Je pense que c'est tellement... Ça, c'est un manque de classe selon moi. C'est comme le kid de 21 ans, tu le montes enfin NHL, il joue une maudite bonne game. Puis t'es même pas foutu de juste comme en parler bien devant les médias. Moi, je trouve que c'est complètement, je sais pas, je trouve que ça va contre un peu le hockey, dans quelle direction ça en va. On regarde Saint-Louis qui parle avec tous les gars quasiment à chaque pratique. Des coachs de même qui sont beaucoup plus impliqués, qui sont beaucoup plus dans la communication avec les joueurs. Et là, tu as Sutter qui est à l'inverse. Moi, c'est ça. Moi, je comprends pas comment il faisait pour avoir encore un job dans la Ligue nationale. Puis l'année prochaine, j'espère pour Huberdeau un changement. Là. Je pense qu'avec peut-être des gars comme Connor Zary, Pelletier qui vont monter, on verra. Il y a peut-être des agents libres, mais je sais pas si toi t'en penses je sais pas ce que tu as pensé. Jérémy, tu connais un peu plus les prospects aussi.
Tu sais, mettons, tenant compte que Pelletier, c'était le premier joueur qui est né dans les années 2000 à jouer avec les Flames de Calgary, c'est quand même une petite chose qui est intéressante. Puis là, te faire dire par ton coach juste tes statistiques, points, aucun genre point positif, je trouve que ça doit faire mal au moral, puis ça doit pas vraiment te donner envie de en tout cas, continuer
pour ce coach-là.
C'est exactement ça. Là.
Mhm.
En plus, eux autres, ils ont quand même une bonne relève à l'attaque. Là. Il y a des bons jeunes qui arrivent, puis avoir un changement de coach de même, je pense que ça va peut-être motiver certains jeunes qui n'ont pas signé à signer, mettons.
Ouais.
Déjà là, ça pourrait aider.
Mais
la culture, c'est important là, pour une équipe.
J'ai l'impression que dans bientôt, là, il va y avoir un swap, ça va faire pareil comme les Canadiens. Ils vont aller prendre un ancien joueur, mais que ça fait pas 30 ans qu'il a pris sa retraite.
OK, les boys. OK, les boys, on est bon pour lancer notre mise au jeu? Je m'excuse de couper ça comme ça.
Yes, sir! Face-off!
C'est bon.
Fait que Mr. Rob Schremp. Fait que Rob. Hop, vas-y, go.
Mise au jeu. Are you ready?
Hi, Rob.
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, Rob.
Hey, how are you? How are you today?
I'm excited to have you here.
Good, yeah, sorry, boys. I had to download Google Chrome to get in here, so it took me a minute to get that installed. So I apologize for the tardiness.
Hey, no problem, no problem. We're just happy you're finally here.
Yep.
The first question is, if you could introduce yourself to our viewers, it would be pretty good, please.
My name is Rob Schremp. I'm former first-round draft pick in the NHL. I played about 114 games in the NHL. Played 8 years over in Europe. Little backdrop, I did grow up and spend a lot of time in Montreal, Quebec, playing for Montreal Mission was our team, Montreal Metro. So I spent a ton of time in Quebec and playing in those ranks in the summer tournaments with Dave Harash. So love the province of Quebec. It's an amazing place. Got to go to the Trinity Quebec. I got to go there twice. So hopefully that's a good enough backdrop. But yeah, so now I'm a coach now. And I work with players, mentoring players. And next year I'm going to be going to Hong Kong to be the director of hockey operations for the Junior Tigers.
Cool. Fait que we're going to go with our first segment. It's called, in French, c'est autour du filet. In English, it's around the net. So, Seb, lance-moi ça, s'il te plaît.
Autour du filet.
Okay, so with that first segment, what we're going to do, we're going to look to your hockey career a bit, if I can say. So, Zach, you can go with the first question.
Yes, thanks. So you start your AHL career in Mississauga. How does it work for an American-born player to switch in Canada at that young age?
So there's different sections of the U.S. where if you're on the East Coast, you're considered, like, I think Boston, Vermont, those states, like a certain section, you're considered a Quebec major junior property. And then from, like New York to, I want to say, I don't know exactly, but you get it. There's like these, sort of territories. So I was in New York. So I was, the OHL would have the first opportunity to pick me and draft me. And so for me, I grew up playing in Syracuse, New York, and we had a tier 2 junior A team there. That played out of the Ontario Provincial Junior Hockey League. I'm not sure what the name of that league is now. I think it might have changed, but it used to be the Metro League when I was a young boy, like 11 years old. It was called the Metro League, and then they changed it to the Ontario Provincial. So anyways, played in that league at 14 and 15 years old. So I was in front of the OHL scouts quite a bit and, played pretty well there. So I kind of showcased myself in that league, and that's sort of what led me to play in the OHL and being drafted first overall to the Mississauga Ice Dogs.
Was it a doubt for you to come play in Canada, or like any other kids, maybe in the US, go with NCAA, things like that? Was it a tough decision?
No, there was this guy, Tim Conley. I don't know if you'd recognize his name. He was a really good NHL player. Yeah. He grew up like 10 miles from my house. And we both had the same mentor, Don Kernan. So Timmy was I think he's like a 1981 birth year. I'm an 86. So he was 5 years older than me, roughly. And his path was that he got drafted first round to the Erie Otters, and then he got drafted first round to New York Islanders. So I kind of he was my idol. I love this guy. Was unbelievable. I get to skate with him a bunch. He was nasty, like so, skilled. He was unreal. So seeing that at a young age, I was kind of like, I want to do what Timmy does. So I started, doing that. Like my dream was to follow his path at a young age. And again, by the time I was 14, I was playing up there in Canada, and that Ontario Provincial League was a lot like the OHL, like the style of play and the sort of the game, the way it was played. It was very much like the OHL. So it was never really a doubt of what I wanted to do. I just wanted to follow Timmy.
Oh, cool. So with that first season in Mississauga, how from your point of view, how you did? How was it?
It was great. I had I had a great coach. Steve Ludzig was amazing, amazing guy, and he's still a very close friend, and I still consider him a mentor and almost like a second father. I respected him a lot. It was great. It was a big adjustment. I'll say that going, tier 2 when I was 15 years old, and I had, almost 100 points as a 15-year-old. So I thought that was going to translate to the OHL right away, but it was a big adjustment. My first 10 games were very tough. I didn't score a goal my first 10 games. That was I hadn't had a 10-game drought in my life ever until then. So, but that's the thing going to the OHL is that big jump. You got you have players like Mike Richards, Jeff Carter, Corey Perry, Patrick O'Sullivan. Like the OHL was very good. And it took me a minute to start to find my footing and learn, the game was much faster. Guys were much better and things happened a lot quicker. So, but after the first 10 games, I got really settled in and then I started, there was games when I would take over the game and, have the control of the pace and be dominating. And then Patrick O'Sullivan, we were a really good 1-2 punch. So it helped having him there because it wasn't solely on me to take over games. Patrick O'Sullivan was a very good hockey player. And that was a lot of, it was a lot of support.
Yeah. Okay.
Story long.
C'est pas Jérémy, là?
Ouais, go. Tu peux y aller, Jake.
Okay. So my first question, I'm going to talk about your draft year, okay? So back in 2004, you were drafted 25th overall, I think?
Yeah.
So how did it work back then? Did you have any conversations with the team, or was it just based on your skill level?
Yeah, they had the combine. So there's the draft combine after the season. So they back then it was the top 60 players or maybe 40 players ranked. And they try to get everybody. Like the year that I went to that combine, Ovechkin was there, Malkin was there. All those guys were there. So it was, you go there for the combine, you do a fitness testing. You don't even go on the ice. It's just about fitness testing, and then you meet all the teams. Again, I don't know how the structure is now, but that's how it was back then. So you had 2 days of meetings and 1 day of off-ice testing. So, yeah, we meet with everybody, and, every meeting's different. There's 30 teams, and I don't think there was one meeting that was the same. Different questions, like one team's with their time that they had with me, and I think they did with everybody, but you went through like a psych eval, and you look at the pictures and you like, what do you see in the picture? Kind of, you know what I mean? You're like, it was weird, and it was like, what the hell is this? But that's their process, and I don't know what they got out of those answers, but maybe it wasn't good because they didn't draft me. So,
Okay, going to London, put up 235 points in 111 games over 2 seasons. You were there, so and you win Memorial Cup Memorial Cup winner in 2005 with London Knights in London. That must have been an incredible feeling. Tell us more about that, please. Can you tell us more about that? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it was an unbelievable year. It was a magical year, and there's a lot of components and a lot of variables that added up to it. That year was the 04-05 was the lockout season in the NHL. So we had the guy like Danny Fritchie played in the NHL at 18. And then that year he was 19, so he couldn't go play in the American Hockey League. So he's down, and there was a bunch of those guys, right? So the league was really, really good. All the leagues were really good. The CHL was stacked that year with a lot of really good talent. And then you had Sidney Crosby out of the queue. And he was, obviously with Rimouski, he was doing what he was doing, tearing it up. And, on top of it, there was no NHL. So there was the media and the media in Canada had to follow CHL. Because there was no NHL storylines, right? Once in a while, they'd have there's some movement in the negotiations and the lockout, whatever. Those articles only were once a week, right? So for us, we came out of the season. We started the season 31 games undefeated. So we really came out, and got that energy going. About 10 or 12 games into that streak, it got really, people started paying attention. Then everybody started paying attention. And then the newspapers got behind it. We had that streak going. And then, again, you had Sidney Crosby out of the queue, tearing it up, lighting it up with points. And then, there's teams out of the West with like Shea Weber and the, Kelowna Rockets. There was those are the kind of the cool pieces that I remember, the energy that got built up behind it and made it just that more special. We were the NHL at that point. We were the highest kind of level of hockey going. And our team was on fire. So it was a good time to catch lightning in a bottle, as they say. And we had Corey Perry, who was a stud himself. He had 130 points that year. And it was good because the year before we lost in the finals in the OHL, and it was really tough. We had the better team on paper. Ryan Callahan, Kevin Klein, they had Cam Jansen, they had a bunch of guys, Danny Paillet on Guelph. We had a really stacked team, but they found a way to beat us at Game 7 at home, and that really made us upset. We were really pissed off over the summer, and when we came back that next year for the Mem Cup year, we were like, dude, that ain't never happening again. So we came out like pedal to the metal, and we didn't lose a game until Danny Sivrett, Corey Perry, myself went to the World Juniors. So we were kind of shorthanded. That's when we lost our first game as a team when we were all at World Juniors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So was it that was the year Dale Hunter was coaching, right?
Yeah, he's been there. He's been there 20 years now almost. So that was like his third year behind the bench, or maybe fourth year behind the bench. They took over that team. That rink was brand new. They just built that the year that I got there. I want to say the year that I got there, it was the first year they played in it. Maybe the year before, the season before. I'm not positive on that, but it was a new building. And then again, having the Mem Cup in London, it was sick, man. We were pulling in to go to our games, and there was like thousands and thousands of people out on the streets in these like beer tents and like live concerts. It was, we were all like, our captain had to keep us in focus because we were you see this energy. The boys are like, oh, let's get out here. We're here to win a Mem Cup. We're not here for that, boys. So, but it was. Once we got the job done, it definitely got to enjoy it.
Okay, cool. You said you played guys with Mark Matat, Corey Perry, Brendan Brass. We know Brendan Brass here in Quebec. Was Corey Perry as clutch back then as he is right now in the NHL?
Oh man, he was even more dynamic back then. He was, the game's changed a lot, and he's an absolute competitor and warrior. The way he plays the game, and his game now it's simplified, and it's very effective. It's like you said, clutch. He hangs around that net, but like back in junior, he was toe dragging guy. Like he posterized so many guys. He had that toe drag and that reach and that range, and I think like the season obviously that was pretty telling of how much talent and ability Corey Perry has was the year that he won the Hart Ross Trophy and the Rocket Richard. Those aren't easy trophies to win. He was unbelievably talented. So he was doing it that year. He came up clutch for us so much. And he came every single night from puck drop. There wasn't many nights. I can't think of any nights that Corey Perry had an off night that year. And if he was a little bit off, then he'd go out and he'd fight somebody, or he'd run the goalie, or he'd just, do something to make up or to add to the team, right? Like he just had so many different ways he could play that it was fun to watch, man. It was fun to watch.
Well, we had fun with him, watching him in Montreal 2 years ago when Montreal went.
We miss him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was such a clutch player. Zach, tu y allais avec la question sur Edmonton?
Yes, but il manque un truc. Did you expect to see those guys in the NHL? Now we're talking about Corey Perry, of course you expect it, but like Mark Method, Brendan Prost, did you expect to see those guys in the NHL?
Yeah, I think both of them. Prusty was super, super tough, and he was an absolute. It's not about tough, which he is, and we don't even have to debate that. It's not even close. He was unbelievable. Like my rookie training camp, my first rookie camp with the Oilers, Prusty was with Calgary, and this guy, I think it was Brent Henley was his name. You can look him up. He was like 6'7", 250, and Prusty went right after him. Prusty's only like, I give him 6 foot, like 195, maybe 200. And Prusty went with him, and he stood in there, and he did unbelievable in the fight. So Prusty had a heart of a lion. But the other thing about Prusty is that he could play the game. Like, he understood momentum. He understood, he picked the right spots. It was never, his fights were never selfish. They were always for the team and for momentum, which he was, he's a super smart player. He wasn't just some goon. He was a hell of a penalty killer. And he scored some huge clutch goals for us in the playoffs. So, all those things combined, was I ever thinking he wouldn't play? No, I just wonder, when he was going to get his chance, because Calgary was tough to crack the lineup there. But he went down to the minors and he fought like 35 times. So he made, there was no denying him of getting there. And then with Mark Method, he was 6'3", 220 pounds at 17, 18 years old. So for me, again, no surprise there. It was definitely a matter of, when, not if. So Trotter had a perfect kind of prototypical frame as a defenseman in the NHL, and he could skate very well. His footwork was solid. He had a really good active stick. And then when he wanted to be mean, he could bury guys. So, no surprise at all. Like, those guys we all believe that we were going to play in the NHL.
Yeah, 3 extremely tough players. Like, we saw Mark Method with his finger chopped off, I think, in the playoff game.
Yeah.
That was insane, man.
Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, Crosby got him. Crosby was pissed about Mem Cup.
But for what you say about Brendan Prost, we hear that in 24CH. Like, who is it? Michel Therrien talks good about him. And Mark Method, he was when I watch him, he was a senator, so I don't like him. But I don't like the team he played for. But he's a good player. Okay, so draft in the first round by the Edmonton Oilers. Do you recall the excitement you had that day?
Yeah, it was wild. It was really wild. So there was a lot of energy around that, and for better or for worse, like there was, I was ranked pretty high, so to go 25th was a little bit of a slip for me, a slide down the ranking, so to speak. And for me, I had a lot of people there in support, it was awesome. I had about 125 people there from my hometown and from other places around the world that were, like the Harash family came down from Montreal. People like that came down. So it was pretty, a lot of energy that day. And it was crazy. That's a big day in your career. You set out with your dreams at whatever, the realistic dream of thinking about the NHL, 13, 14 years old, you make your choice that you want to do that. And this day is like that, sets you up for that dream sort of day. So it's a lot of energy, and it's nerve wracking and all that good stuff. And to finally get picked was definitely a relief and, very exciting.
Yeah. Where was it, the draft that year?
Carolina.
Okay.
Yep. It was down in Carolina.
So the first 3 seasons with your entry contract level, you had the chance to play only 7 games with the Edmonton Oilers. What do you think didn't work out? Was it a contract thing, or like the other guys over there, they all stayed in shape, they all stayed healthy?
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest with you, there's a lot of variables there. Like that's the Western Conference in Edmonton and Calgary. They're like big crash and bang type of hockey. Dump it in and go run people kind of hockey. Like that's I was a more puck possession kind of player. Really, the only style player that we had in the roster there with Edmonton that was Alice Hemsky, he's a phenomenal player. But the rest of the players really were gritty and tough, hard-nosed players. So that was part of it. And, there was a lot of fighting back then. So we had, like Steve McIntyre, Zach Stortini, George LaRocque. So there was, 2-3 roster spots filled with pure toughness. And then, you go down the third line, it was, grinders and tough hockey players. And same thing. The first line was really like Hemsky and Smitty. So it was tough to crack that lineup. The way they wanted to play it, if you can't add 20 pounds of muscle and start crashing and banging, like it just wasn't going to fit. So it was tough, it really was. I went down the minors and just got, seasoned and tried to build on my game. It was kind of ironic too. It's like playing in the East Coast in the minors, and then, our team's in the West Coast, like playing for Pittsburgh Penguins. My first year, it was we split with Pittsburgh Penguins in Wilkes-Barre. So it was half Pittsburgh's team, AHL guys, and half us. Again, totally different style. So it's, it's kind of, for me, I succeeded in that style, in that sort of puck possession and create an offense sort of style. And then when I got to, again, with Edmonton, I didn't stick. So it was tough, being a young guy and you see other guys in the draft that are playing, I played 7 games. Like, it's hard to believe that as a first round draft pick, to be honest with you. You just kind of, but it weighed on me, and you can see it in my stats. I had a pretty decent year my rookie year. Second year, I had a really good year. In my third year, I just, fell off a cliff. I get emotionally and confidence level was super down. I didn't see really any light at the end of the tunnel, and it weighed on my game. And then I finally got a chance after that to carry on and go to the Islanders. You got a new perspective, a new, what do you want to say, like a new look on life, so to speak, and a new opportunity, clean slate, and it was great. So it's crazy too. Like I went on waivers. I got picked up by the Islanders, and I played, it took me time to get in the Islanders lineup. I didn't get to just come in there and play. I had to wait my turn. But it was nice to be there every day as an NHL player and not down in the minors and grinding it out. And once I got in the lineup, I succeeded. And then the next year I came into training camp, I fractured my back. I got cross-checked by Brian Rolston in preseason. And after my recovery, I went back down and played one rehab game down in, Bridgeport. And where I'm going with this is my last year in the minors, my numbers speak for themselves. It was not good. I had like 40 points in 70 games, and I was down. I just, my game stunk. Fast forward a year later, after playing the NHL, I played that one exhibition or whatever, that one rehabilitation game. And when I played that one game, it was like everything slowed down. And I felt like a man playing with boys a little bit. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
But it's what confidence can do for you. You play in the NHL for 1 year, like your game gets so much better. You just get so much better. Even practicing with the guys you practice with every day. So again, it just, for me, that one game that I went down to Bridgeport, I was like, it gave me that realization, like, holy shit, like a year and a half ago, I was so far in the gutter. Like, this game showed me that, because this is the same league, right? And I just out there was like, carrying the puck, carrying the play, making great plays, scoring chance pretty much every shift. So it was, So anyways, that was my path and my entry-level deal with the Oilers, but it was tough. Yeah. It wasn't easy.
Okay. So you talk a little bit about the Islanders. That's for you, Rob.
Thanks, buddy.
That's awesome.
But we're going to talk about the AHL All-Star. Tell us about the player experience and your magic end. You score twice with amazing dink goals. Later, we have a video of that. It's amazing.
Well, it's always fun, those events. And I think it's really, like, for me, I got a chance to go to 2 AHL All-Star games. And there's like this, as a player, there's like this, like, you kind of have to have this like all-star swag and like, some guys try to play it cool. For me, I just see a lot of kids in the stands, a lot of people there. They want to be entertained, like, by the highest level people. You know, that's what I see as an all-star game. So when I got an opportunity to go to a couple in junior, and then I got a couple again in the AHL, it's for me, it's like, okay, turn on your skill, like, and put a show on. It's just, that's what people want to see. You know, they don't want to see you like lugging the puck up the ice, acting like you're too cool for school. Like, that's really not entertaining. They want to see you like your highest level skill stuff and press. So for me, that was my mentality when I was there. And like, you can get it on the bench. Some guys are like, what are you doing? Like, and it's like, no, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? So it's, for me, it's always about that. The fans, I was a fan growing up as a young boy. We got, you know, the Syracuse Crunch came there when I was 10 years old. And I remember that was like the biggest thing in the world to me, like going to those games, getting a puck. Sometimes, you know, puck's coming over the glass. We used to not have the net behind the goal, like the net over the glass. We didn't have that when they first came there. So pucks would be flying off the crossbar into the stands. We'd all be running to get the pucks. We thought we were so cool getting those. But the point being is that experience as a fan and how much joy you get out of that, right? So I always kind of had that in my mind. And the All-Star game, again, it's just magnified, right? We're all technically the best in the league. I think it's important to go there and put on a show for everybody that, you know, paid some money for those tickets.
Was it all skill, or you put crazy glue on your stick?
No, buddy, that's practice. That's all practice.
My other point was they did All-Star game in the junior back then. Yeah,
we had the OHL All-Star game. I also had my draft year. We had the CHL Top Prospects game. So that was the same thing as the combine almost, where it was top 40. I think it was a top 45 ranked players, including goaltenders. And then you play a game. They still do it now, I believe. That's all three leagues combined. So I did I walked off the half wall on that game, and I got to the middle of the ice, and the D-man was trying to poke check the puck. So I picked it up and did a spinorama from the top of the circles and just missed the top shelf. So whenever you get all those high-level players in a group, it turns me on for some reason.
Do you, from where you are, do you watch the All-Star games that is like in NHL? Because I mean, my question is more like, because we appreciated the All-Star game in AHL this year. It was in Laval, and Solavan was there. But when we look on TV, NHL is like too much. Okay, for a player, is it? I know you didn't go in the NHL All-Star, but you know, is it more realistic in AHL for the players to like it? Is it more obvious to feel it?
I don't know. You know, it's like a tricky thing, right? They're trying to be entertaining. They're trying to, you know, entertainment's kind of the main focus now, and you know, a lot of these players are very good hockey players, and they're amazing at hockey and stuff. But the truth of it is, when they're playing, what it takes for them to get to the All-Star game is like playing inside a structure, playing a game, right? Yeah. It doesn't mean that they're super talented. Like you see Zach Bell from Always Hockey, like he does all this super cool stuff with the stick and tricks. Like some of these tricksters on Instagram are more skilled with the stick and puck than 90% of the NHL guys. So just because they play in the NHL, it's not like, okay, now in the All-Star game, we got all these, you know, now they're starting to bring them like Swaggy P and, you know, these type of players and these type of guys that can do this cool stuff with the sticks. But point being is that just because they're in the NHL, just because they made the All-Star game doesn't mean that they can do this stuff. So a lot of the stuff they're implementing is like, these players aren't practicing that at all.
No.
You know what I mean? They're not putting reps into this, like sauce it through this little hole in a board, you know, like these little gimmicky things. The players aren't working on that at all. So it's like they'll go up and be like, yeah, I'll try it. But when you got thousands of people watching TV crews in there, it could go bad and suck. It could be cringy. You know what I mean? You're like, man, this is brutal. And you feel bad for the guy. I remember Drew Doughty, he couldn't get it through the slot a couple years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe. He had to like pick it up with his hand and then throw it through. Like, you know, I'm sure he doesn't care, but it is cringeworthy. You do feel for him a little bit. No. But I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yeah, of course. Well, I tried to explain it because it wasn't written, so it was kind of impro. And well, have you seen that we're all French people here, so we're trying our best.
Oh, really?
Okay, just a small question before we continue. All-Star games. Let's go back to 2016. I think they did fan voting. Did you vote for John Scott?
No, man, that was that's hilarious. But he's awesome, you know. That was pretty cool. That's the whole point of the fan voting, though. It's like whoever they vote in and want,
exactly.
You know, and then they try to like strong arm them to not go. Then you know, I felt terrible for him. It's actually a terrible story because there's backdrop to it and stuff. You know, like you know, he got like traded and stuff, and then like you know, almost strong armed and. He had like a pregnant wife at the time. So it's actually a horrible story. I just didn't, you know, if you're going to put those things out there and that can happen and that's fine. And he wound up having a hat trick anyway. He wound up getting a hat trick and got it.
Hey, even Patrick Kane, I think so. Was it
He won the MVP that year.
Yeah.
John Scott.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, he's tough. But you'd be surprised. Like I played with this guy, Rytis Ivanas. He's a Latvian guy. And he used to be a tough guy for the LA Kings. And Calgary Flames, I believe. But when we used to skate in the summertime in Chicago, like this dude was 6'6", 270, and he was silky with the puck. Like we're doing the drill, we're all there, like Joe Corvo, you know, Dustin Brown. There's a cast of players there, right? This was like filthy with it. And then the season comes and they get that rope taken away from them, right? So they're not allowed to do anything with the puck. So that you just see these guys as like simple players. But the reality of it is going to like Scott, like he's a big tough guy, but like he can handle a puck. Like he can still play. It's just that he has to play a certain role to play in NHL, right? But and not that surprised, to be honest with you. And it was a great story. Again, I knew the backdrop of the story. So when he got MVP, I was super happy for him. I thought that was a great nail in the, you know, that coffin of that situation. But yeah, anyways, I digress.
Yeah. So your hockey career went up in Europe. You played Latvia, Sweden, Switzerland, Germany. Now you're in Latvia you've been in Latvia for a couple of years as director of coaching and the director of player development. We all know what the director of player development is. Director of coaching, is it like what we call GMs or?
Yeah, it's about development package. Like I put together a development structure and practice plans for the coaches and just help them guide them through their practice, come on the ice with them and just be there for development, you know, be a second, you know, sort of coach to them and just, you know, that's all, just supporting their role, giving them, you know, for me, being able to play in all those places, it's a great opportunity to collect information, collect drills, you know, collect different strategies and helping players. So that's really all that was, you know, just kind of, again, give them that from my perspective and from my experience and knowledge point of view, some support in their, you know, working with the kids. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, you know, great guys, great people. So I really enjoyed that process with Tukums.
Cool. Would you get Zach?
On n'a pas répondu à ça. I think he answered this.
Well, he said he's going to be, so you're going to be coaching Hong Kong next year, right? That's what you said earlier?
Yeah, I'm taking over. Yeah, Director of Hockey Operations in Hong Kong. The organization is called the Junior Tigers. It's a lot of exciting stuff going on there. They're starting an Asian Super League, and there's be about 7 teams. So it's going to just, you know, get the competitive games going and traveling a little bit. So again, up the competitiveness and start developing hockey in these other countries. So it's really exciting to be a part of that. Yeah, I'm really excited to get there and have an impact. So again, with the source of knowledge that I have and from my experiences traveling all over, I'm really excited to be able to sort of help craft and develop and help create a very high level program out of Hong Kong.
Okay, cool. So now it's our star host, Jules. Jules is not backstar for now. Fait que Seb, on va faire la mise. Oh, no, he just got here. Yep, Jules Raymond. So he's got some questions for you, and we're going to let him talk for now.
Hi, so we all have our problems. Now it's my Wi-Fi that just forgot to be there for the podcast. Thank you, Rob, for being present.
No problem, buddy.
I want to go all in. I've lost some time, so I just want to start with the AHL teams. You spoke a little bit about the Scranton Wilkes Bear. you played one game, I think, in the playoff with Chris Letang. Can you just talk a little bit about maybe the little throwback you have, or the how can I say, what was the impression when he pulled up in your locker room?
Yeah, no, Wilkes-Barre was amazing. Actually, it was great to play there. It was a great organization, and we had a great group of guys. So it was awesome. We had Max Talbot. If I can go down people that come out to mind, Matt Karkner, Dennis Bonvie was a big guy for me, like a mentor. But that year, I just want to go without passing on the opportunity to mention these kind of people: Jonathan Filwich, Ryan Stone, Danny Carcillo, Stephen Dix. I mean, there were so many good guys there. And then we had our Edmonton Oilers guys there. And we had Todd Richards and Dan Balsma as our coach. So it was a pretty good year. It was a great year in a lot of senses. I grew up a lot as a player. And actually, game 81 of the AHL season, I blew out my MCL. I got hit by Matt Hendricks. He was playing with Hershey. And he kind of sideblinded me and took my knee out. And I wound up missing the playoffs that year. So I never got a chance to even play in the playoffs, which killed me. Personally, I've always lived for the playoffs. Like that's, every player says it, but I really mean it. Like you can look at my stats through my career. I always show up in the playoffs, and I was eager that year because the beginning of the year, I had taken time, I was a 20-year-old, first time in the AHL. It's not an easy league. It took me time to figure it out. And the second half of the season, I was tearing it up, playing really well with this guy, Robert Nielsen. So I was stoked to get in the playoffs and try to do some damage and try to win a cup with that team. But unfortunately, getting one game before the end of the season, I got my MCL blown out. But it was – I don't remember, Chris, to be honest with you. So I can't even make up any stories. I got nothing. I don't remember him being there. Well, I don't remember him at all. I don't know if he did come down. I don't think he lined up with that year.
From what I saw, I saw one game and he got one assist. But I couldn't find if – you played, but in fact, if you broke, but not broke, but the MCL is pretty a rough injury. If you can, I don't know if you can tell a little bit about that, because we often hear players with MCL injuries, and then we're like, okay, well, what's it like for a player to have this kind of injury? It's a big thing.
Yeah, it sucked. It was brutal. The other thing is, I got some couple opinions on it. So it sucks. The year's over. Like my leg was. I tried to play and they were like, dude, you're not playing. Like I couldn't, my knee would, if I were to step on it, it would just, there was nothing holding it. So it would just like go like bend, like bowl. And I was like, all right, okay, I guess I can't. Right. So from there, I knew I was out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. And then it got to the end of the season. We lost to Norfolk that year, who wound up being, the Stanley Cup champions a few years down the road. They had all those guys, Duncan Keith, David Bolin, Versteeg, Wisniewski, Bufflin, like that division was stacked. But after the season was over, we lost to Norfolk, and then I came to the doctor's part of the thing, and there was some recommendation, like the team doctor for the Oilers wanted me to get surgery. My specialist back home was like, why would you do surgery? It's the summertime, so there's like this kind of back and forth. Then it came to a thing of like I had to listen to my NHL team's doctor. So wound up getting a surgery and rehabbing it over the summer. And then I had to wear a brace for 6 months. So it was brutal. I couldn't skate with that brace. It screwed me up mentally. It screwed me up physically. Like every time I go to cross over, your shin pad winds up getting bigger, so the brace fits in there. I just kept like kicking my legs almost. You got to like learn how to skate again. And then for shooting and stuff too, like driving weight transfers off that left leg to the right leg, like it never felt comfortable. So I mean, it screwed with me for like, the injury started game 81 and it lasted for about 9-10 months till the next season. And finally during the next year, like towards the end of the year, it just clicked off. And I was like, I just stopped thinking about it. And it finally was out of my head. So, those are things that people don't realize. And, I don't really talk about, I never really talked about it, to be honest with you, but it screwed with me a lot the next year. I persevered, had a good year, whatever, points wise and all that, blah, blah, blah. But if I'm speaking honestly, mentally, I was like never sure of myself. And I didn't feel like when I was back in junior, even when I was at the second half of my year in Wilkes-Barre, every time I got on the ice, I felt good. You know what I mean? I felt everything. I felt good. I felt the puck. I felt the play. I saw the ice. Like that next year, it was like 80% of the time, I was like, I feel like shit. You know what I mean? I just didn't feel comfortable. So It was a tough process, but I guess it makes you stronger and, makes your skin thicker.
But you said something that intrigued me about the fact that you were playing with half guys from the Penguins and guys from the Oilers, and that the style of play and the style of development from the Penguins was more your type of hockey and your type of how in French we say chise, like the seat, the type of team you want to play for. And was that like something in your mind sometimes, like, oh, I want to be traded to this team, or I want to be on their side, like you were in the Oilers and it was like ups and downs, and you really didn't seem to have like a position in the organization. Was there like a time you wanted to switch and just go with the Penguins?
Yeah, no, and they had Crosby coming up. They had such a good, some good players coming up, and Fleury and so much momentum. So yeah, it was tough. It was hard, but I'll be honest with you. I like the way that they developed their guys and the way that they talked to their players and the way they were working with them. That side of it from their organization, you kind of envious. At any point was I thinking, okay, I never thought about it. I was just like, I'm a first rounder for Edmonton. Like, I'm going to play in Edmonton was my mind. I didn't really think about that. Gee, I wish I could go there. It didn't, for me personally, it didn't never creeped in. Hindsight, when I went to Springfield the next year and the year after that, I would have liked to come back and gone to Pittsburgh. But that year that I was there, it was you're set in your place, right? Like I just got drafted, so you're just trying to claw up the ladder and make it to the club. So there was none of that really, like, third girlfriend's hotter,
Yeah. And you had the long, all your career was in front of you. You were a rookie, so you couldn't really like ask the GM about that. I completely understand. And now I want to just go a little bit further. You reached the Thrashers. You went in the Atlanta Thrashers in the final year of their existence. How was the locker room? What was the ambience there? Like what? It's a big failure for some, and I think for the majority. And there's some rumors that they could come back. How was it to be in the final year of this franchise that was just a big, interrogation for a long time?
Yeah, it was. I mean, when I first went there, it was. I mean, I was shocked to get put on waivers by the Islanders. To be honest with you, like that was a shock. I played pretty well there for what I'd been given, and I didn't see that coming. And then I got there, and it was exciting because they had a really good young team. Like, Chicago won their cups and then dumped basically 5-6 players. Didn't dump them, but they couldn't re-sign them, right? So you had Bufflin there, you had Ladd there. I'd known Ladd from before. Blake Wheeler, like it was fun. And then when I got there, we were 2 points out of playoffs. So it was like, this is sick. I finally get a chance to play in some playoff hockey in the NHL. And then just the way it goes in NHL, we had a slump for like 6 or 7 games. We were just, I think we won 2 out of those 6 or 7 games. The next thing you know, we're 10, 12 points out of playoffs. Like everybody climbed and we stopped. So it was tough there. And then, to be honest, I had no idea the team was going to move. There was never any talk about it at all.
No,
I didn't hear one. Not one. And I remember after the season thinking, okay, this is great. I knew this guy, really great guy. I've known him for a long time, Rick Dudley. He was the general manager, and he believed in me, and he'd known me since I was 16. I met him with Steve Ludzik. And I was like, hey, I finally get a chance to get some breathing room and kind of carve my career out of here. And we had our exit meetings, and then like a week later or 2 weeks later after the season, I got a group text from Andrew Ladd. It's like, hey, boys, get your parkas ready. We're going to Winnipeg. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? And then next thing you know, team's up for sale. Boom, it's moving. I was like, that's the first time I heard about it. And that was like middle of May. And then immediately I'm like, and then the next thing I'm like, you start thinking like, okay, what the hell's going to happen? Moving the team, is the management going to go? So the team went, and then they make the management announcements. They cleaned house. They, got rid of everybody, and they hired new. And then I was like, oh, that's not good. So it was tough. But I mean, the biggest thing too is there was no fans there. We're playing an amazing rink, like beautiful rink. It's awesome. Like I think what's the Hawks play there, the basketball team. It's a beautiful rink. It just, we were playing in front of like 4,000 fans in a 19,000 seat building. It's embarrassing. It is. It's not a home game. Like that's, I mean, Southern pro teams are doing better with attendance than that.
Except the Coyotes, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, no, but I saw a picture of the last game at the arena, and it was really ridiculous. Like, you're all lined up for the game, and there's just no one in the seats, and you're like, okay, well, I understand why the owners sold it, and
Yeah.
I mean, I wish you could have gone to the Jets. It's a start. It's like the part 2 of their franchise. But now I want to go to the side of your other career, the staff career, and I want to start with, you were a scout for the Youngstown Phantoms, and I just want to understand first, is there like a region you're scouting, or it's more just like free for all in Canada and the USA, and you're just a little bit dispatched everywhere and you choose where you go, or you have a certain region, west, east, north?
I'm the European scout for them. So
Okay.
I get to work with a lot of players over here. And Ryan Ward was actually my video coach for the New York Islanders when I played there. So Wardo and I got reconnected a couple years ago, and just through working with players over here, running some combine camps and some stuff like that, I've seen a lot of players, and I just started sending them recommendations about, check these players out. And, I got to 3 or 4 of them, and he's like, hey, do you want to scout? And I said, yeah, sure. I'd love to, because that's the thing. It's tough with the budgets for, USHL, North American Hockey League. They don't have budgets to have 10, 12 scouts going all over Europe. So me being here, it's an opportunity, and I'm pretty close to Sweden, Finland. Again, I see a lot of hockey. I watch a lot of players. I work with a lot of players. So that was how that came about, just value add to their club. Nothing strenuous, and I'm not really under a tight regiment, so to speak. It's just trying to find them some good European players to come over and have those eyes in the sky for them, so to speak.
Okay, so my next question was about the first overall pick in the 2021 draft, Will Whitelaw, but I don't know if you have some things to say about this guy. He's a 2023 prospect. He could go in the first round. But if you were an European, I don't think you have a lot to say about this guy, or do you a little bit?
No, not really. I don't have much backdrop on him. No.
Well, that's great. And Zachary Morin is a Quebecer. He chose to go the U.S. route, and I guess it's a name that you don't know a lot about either. Is it? Okay, well,
no.
Perfect. So it's going to be shorter. And the last question I have about the USHL. You were scout while Adam Nicholas, I don't know if it rings a bell, was the director of development for the Chicago Steel. And I saw that next year you're going to be the director of development and a little bit the face of like the direction. Is he a guy that you talk to, or that you read about, or listen to like a little bit improve, or get I don't know, get a little bit of experience, because he's in the NHL now. I think he's one.
He's with Toronto, yeah,
but now he's in the Montreal Canadiens, and I think he could be
Canadians.
Yeah, he's doing really great things. He's improving prospect and developing them at a pace that is really incredible. You see prospect like a guy Riley Kidney, who just it's a big difference since he's been there. Kidney just went rocket. It's just incredible how he talks about the hockey and everything. And I just wanted to see if you had talked about this guy or to this guy.
I've never talked to him personally. I do like what he does and what he represents. I know is the general manager, coach Ryan Hardy from Chicago Steel. So you get a chance to talk to him about what their sort of development models were and how they were working with the players. Also worked with a few players that played for the Steel a couple years back. Again, just their terminology, what they're teaching, what he's given the players for development. Yeah, absolutely. And he's been in the game for a long time now. Guys like him, Daryl Belfry, Adam Oates, like these are guys that are great development people, and they, just the things that they're doing is these are not your, Instagram coaches, so to speak. Like what these guys are giving the players is like direct. And what you'll see with a lot of development stuff, especially with high level players, is the simplicity of it. They're not doing jungle gym stuff all over the ice. They're doing like 2 or 3 movements and doing it over and over again. And just some of the stuff that they create, I know his backdrop. I don't know him inside and out, but I can cut his backdrop a little bit. It's some of that stuff, like realistic stuff, right? For these players, making them great at it. There's little habits and those little movements is what's important. Body control, puck protection, and again, it's not jungle gym stuff and going all over the place, because there's only one guy in the NHL that gets to skate around like it's a jungle gym. That's Connor McDavid, in my opinion. Maybe McDavid as well, or McKinnon as well. But there's only a few of those guys that get to do that are that good to do that. So the game, again, is a little bit more simple, and those simplistic things you work on, wall rims, centerman, face-off. So those things, it's always value add with those guys. Again, the Belfries, the Nichols, and Adam Oates. So it would be great to have a conversation with them, as I would love to have their impact be helpful in Hong Kong, and the players there to have some sort of input from high level people like that. My biggest thing is a director in hockey. It's I feel like I know a lot about hockey, and I feel like I know nothing at all at the same time. So wherever the valuable information can come from, it's important that the players get it. I'm not like that's my drill kind of guy, or when I take someone, I'm like, hey, I saw this in someone's practice, and giving credit and just collecting information, because what it is about now is development of the players. And that's all that matters to me. How the players go on and how they do in their career. And I don't care if they ever say my name. I don't need them to say Rob Schremp taught me. I don't give it whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to support them, again, give them as much information as possible and help them succeed. And again, I might be able to add that value, or it might be, like I said, another person that has a different philosophy, a different mentality, a different angle of teaching. It's super important to collect all that and be able to disperse it.
Well, for everyone listening and for you guys, he did a press conference at the start of last season for the Montreal Canadiens, and it's 1 hour of pure, like you say, simplicity, but just the way he sees the game and the development of players, it's incredible, and it's really something that touched me, and I'm going in this direction professionally. So it's really a guy that I look up to, and he's incredible. And you see some little clips of him talking to guys, and you're just like, it's amazing how he sees the game. And just to finish, I saw a thing on your elite prospect page, and you were you had a check, and there's a few guys that have like the verified account, and I saw that you worked for the team Elite Prospects. But what is that? Like, I've never saw this, and even Elite Prospect doesn't really talk about it. And I just want to end my segment with this. I'm really intrigued.
They do a pre-draft combine setup. They've done it 2 years now. So last year it was like Scott Gordon was a coach, Ryan Ward. He was leaving Windy City, in between going from Windy City to Youngstown. Scott Gordon, he's the assistant coach for Team USA right now, assistant coach in San Jose. So they do this pre-draft showcase combine sort of thing. And they want to bring in, as the types of coaches that they feel will be a value add for the kids over the weekend to try to help them as much as you can. It's a 3-day event, so you're not going to change their whole world in 3 days. But if you can give them that, just from that on the bench and give them little tips and stuff, it was a lot of fun. See those kids, they're 15, 16-year-old kids. It was 07 birth years this year. Next year it'll be 08. So it's always going to be that draft eligible age. So just, you see the raw talent, and you can see that little bit of, like, as a coach or as a development guy, you can see where they need that little bit of hockey IQ insertion. And once they get to that level of like raw talent, again, I don't want to say it's super easy, but as someone you kind of see the game, like you can see what they need, right? And it's not 1,000 things, it's like 2 or 3. And once they tack those things on to their raw talent, it's fun to be. So I agreed to do that. I was over here, and Ed Palumbo's a really good friend, and I've been in contact with him for 3-4 years. So he invited me to be a guest coach there, and I jumped on the opportunity, went over. It was a lot of fun. Kids were great. Got to meet some other coaches that were awesome. great networking opportunity to meet some new people, gather new information. There were some guest speakers there that were phenomenal and really, total value add for all the way around for the players, for us as coaches, for elite prospects to kind of get their brand out there as well. So that's what that is. And I know they plan on continuing year after year. So they've had some good success. Last year they had 15, I think it was 15 guys got drafted in the USHL. I don't know what the tally was this year, but I know some guys got drafted in the OHL and for sure the USHL. So it's a pretty cool event if you can ever be a part of it.
And is there just one or two names that you can tell us to look forward to in 2-3 years when they're going to be prospect for the NHL? Is there guys that you see?
Well, that's a good question. Is there any super studs that popped out?
Well, just one or two guys that you're like, this kid could be a first-round prospect, or could
I would have to pull the roster. I'd have to pull the roster for names. But number 17 on our team was a really good player. He was very physical. He's from Buffalo. Big kid, and he had that, competitive mentality. And like in a showcase setting, you're there to show that you're better. You're not there to show that you're too cool for school, right? So he was there, and he really took upon himself. There was another kid from Little Caesars, right-handed shot defenseman, big kid, really smooth. He was probably the best kid in the whole event, in my opinion. Again, I'm terrible on the names. I need the chart in front of me. I didn't get a long enough time to put their names stick.
No problem. It's okay. We're going to look.
No problem. So number 17 for people listening, I'll find that out on my side. Here it says Maximus McGuire. So
McGuire.
Yeah. Okay. So perfect. This guy, and then the right defenseman. I'll find it myself and talk about it.
He was from CompuWare. I think he played for CompuWare, and then there was Jimmy Sutherland was the third guy. I've known Jimmy. Jimmy plays for BK Selects.
Yeah,
really good, low and gritty player. Yeah, he's a smaller guy, but tenacity, he's tenacious. He's got a hell of a shot. He's got a cannon of a shot. So those three guys were like, in my opinion, those stood out, and they were competitors. So it's good to see that in that event. Again, it's always your worry going into those things that it's going to turn into an all-star game. That's not the point of it. You got a pre-draft showcase. It's really about like showing your fangs, not your, dancing shoes, so to speak. So it was good that they showed up and were aggressive.
Well, thank you very much. I bookmarked him, and I'll see him through the years. Good luck in Hong Kong. It's a beautiful city. I went there, and I want to go back. So good luck, and thank you for coming to the podcast. Goodbye, guys, and see you tomorrow, right?
Yes, we're gonna be there tomorrow.
Thank you.
So thank you. So Rob, two more section left. Okay, about 10 minutes more. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Seb, envoie-nous la mise en échec. So here's the body check.
So for the body check, I don't know if you have the chance to read all my message on Twitter, but I asked you if you have a funny story, or in French we call it anecdote. C'est quoi anecdote en anglais?
Well, funny story, hockey-wise, something happened to you.
I think it's the same thing.
Story.
Anecdote, simply.
Yeah. Anecdote. Yeah, of course. If you had something, if you don't, we're gonna. I found something on the net. It says that you're not a fan of John Tavares. Could you develop that, please?
You can go on that if you want. But one thing I remember one of my first trips with the Oilers. You take a charter plane, which is fine and everything, but I never been on one before, and everybody gets a ticket. So I got my ticket and go through the security. And it's, you're in whatever, it's private, but it's not like normal. It's like, chartered plane. So we go through security, get our stuff, and I get on the plane and just start looking, and I'm like, it was like 4B. So I sat down in 4B, and then all of a sudden, like, the assistant coach sits down, then the general manager sits down, then the goalie coach sits down, and then Craig McTavish is standing over me, and he's just looking at me, and I'm like, hey, coach. And he's finally like, hey, doing? I'm like, I'm 4B. He's like, dude, there's no assigned seats. He's like, get in the back. I had no idea that. I was just gonna sit in my normal seat, but That was embarrassing, and all the guys were howling on the plane, but I had no idea. I just sat there, and I thought you sat where your seat was.
But it's not the first time I hear that, so you're not the only one to.
Perfect. I'm not alone.
Jay, tu veux-tu y aller avec ta question sur le style de hockey?
Yeah, okay. So through the years, you've seen hockey change a bit, like from a hard-hitting sport to like a more fine and fast kind of play. Do you have a favorite one? Do you prefer one style over another?
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, I played back in the two-line pass and clutch and grab, and break sticks over each other kind of era. That's what I grew up with. So that game, I figured a way out to play that game. So that was fun, but the skill game was obviously a lot easier on the body. It's a lot more freedom and being able to create and not worry about getting, mugged in the corners. But I think they both have, there's art to both of them.
Do you think that really the more fine one would have been better for you to your career? Because I've seen you dangle, so like I can easily imagine you in a more like fast and fine style of play. So do you think the same? I don't know. Are you the same opinion?
Yeah, like for me, I feel like just from my point of view, like I kind of showed what I could do in the fast and skilled game the year they changed the rules down, and it went from NHL lockout. We came back in 05 and 06. There was new rules, right? NHL had new rules. We had new rules, and down with those new rules, I mean, my points were pretty solid. Like I had a pretty big season. I showed what I could do with that skill level. The thing was, like the NHL didn't adapt for another, like I'd say 10 years, in my opinion. They changed in 05, and then it really now we're at that point, right? Like you got McDavid with 160 points. You got like how many guys are over 100 points? I don't have the exact number. But there was a bunch of guys over 100 points this year around it. There was a bunch of 50-goal scorers, right? So now that what they wanted to achieve, in my opinion, has come to full fruition, 15, 16, whatever, 17 years down the road. I just felt like it didn't start clicking until like 2014, 15 maybe. And that's part of trying to climb into the NHL when I was in 09 and, whatever, 05. I got drafted 04. But those years, 05 to 2012, 13, it was still a lot of the guys from the old game. The game was kind of still the same way. It's really evolved now. Now you see like so many guys getting, how many guys, not that it matters that much, but it kind of tells a story. How many guys are signing massive tickets at 22 years old right now?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was not happening.
Looking for one, huh?
No, like Corey Perry got a massive ticket of like 5 years, $25 million, right? And that was at like 24, 25. Kind of had to earn it. There was those bridge deals. So what's happening now is the young skills getting rewarded and also promoted, and that's what they want in the game, which is fair. The game's evolved. That's what they wanted. That's why they changed the rules the way they did. No more, any stick in the hands is a hook, and technically it is a hook because it's impeding my ability to make a high skill play. So I know that was a long way to answer it, but that's what I felt like. I mean, I've got asked that question obviously before. And that's how I felt like 05, 06, I had total freedom down the OHL. Anytime someone did something, wrong with their stick or impeded you, you go on the power play and then you go light it up. So I just didn't get a chance to stick around long enough in the NHL to be able to, I was out by 2012. There was another lockout. And, at that point I felt again, another 2 or 3 years until it was really kind of that skill was being brought into the game. And then you see, less and less scraps, less and less physicality, less and less bigger guys. So I definitely think I would have succeeded a lot more production-wise in the new style game.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're going to get into our last segment. So, Sébastien, envoie-nous les tirs de barrage sur le shootout style.
Here he comes, Rob Schremp. Picks up the puck, has it, dipsy doodle, look at all this, and he scores!
Well, that was amazing. So, shootout, little quickies, so you can answer like you want. So, Jeremy, start with your first question, please.
Yeah, okay. Some of these questions are inspired of the puck personality concept of the NHL on YouTube. So, just so you know, you can find them over there. So the first question I'd like to ask you, what is the best number and the worst number to wear in hockey, in your opinion?
Best number? I mean, I'm biased, so I love my number 44. I love that number. The symmetry to it's great. Number, I would say the worst number would be, I can't pop one off my head, but like
99.
59. You know, those are high. And you're a pigeon when you wear those high numbers like that, like those football jersey numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have time to watch NHL hockey a bit over there?
Yeah, I do. I stay up late and watch. Yeah.
Which team you follow the most?
The Oilers. I watch a lot of the Oilers. I love watching McDavid, Draisaitl.
Cool.
Yeah, I love watching those guys.
Okay, cool. Zach?
They are playing tonight, eh?
Yep.
But
yeah, that was late.
You it will be very later, eh?
Yeah, sometimes I shut it down at like 11 at night. I'll wake up at 3:30 in the morning and turn it on, so I get a block of sleep. But it's late, man. That's really late. Tonight's on at 10 o'clock Eastern time, no?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's so late.
Yeah.
Okay. So who in the NHL right now, who is the best American-born player in your opinion?
Best American-born in the NHL?
Yeah. But like I think the more easy answer is like Patrick Kane. But if I ask like a younger,
I mean, Matthews is there. Jack Hughes is kind of taking the torch right now.
Yeah,
I think I'd say Jack Hughes, to be honest with you. He's just full of life right now. He's young and he's kind of just hit that peak. He had that first year that was struggle, and now he's rock star. So I think I like the way he's managing the game, and his game is sharp right now. He's playing really good. So I would say Jack Hughes is.
I agree.
Jeremy?
Okay, so who's your favorite teammate ever?
Favorite teammate ever? That's a good question. Dennis Bonvie is up there for sure. This guy was awesome. Dennis Bonvie. I don't know if you guys know him or not. He was a tough guy that played a long time. Tough guy, fought a ton. Super great teammate. Andy Sutton was an amazing teammate. It's hard. I mean, I played so many years. Robert Nielsen, my line mate, my rookie year in Wilkes-Barre. I love that guy. He was awesome. He was an unbelievable athlete, great teammate. That's a loaded question, man, because I played with so many guys. Brandon Prusty was amazing in a lot of ways. Off the ice, he's an amazing guy. He's like a brother, and then on the ice, he protect you. And that's for me as a skill guy. I had a lot of people like that in those early years that I kind of got protected. So I look up to them, and what they did for me was amazing. They let me play. So Brian Basner, when I was in Tier 2 Junior A, he was amazing. Again, same thing. Guys were breaking sticks over me. So instead of playing me one-on-one, guys would break sticks over me. Baz came in and looked after me. He was 6'4", 230. So there's too many to name. I'm sorry. That's a terrible answer, I know, but it is
it's okay. Do you still talk to some of these guys?
Yeah, no, I always keep in touch. You see him, and Dennis Bonvie's actually in the World Championships are here in Latvia right now, so I'll see him this week.
Okay, so, nice.
Yeah. Do you think Chicago Blackhawks management did on purpose, not having a good season so they can get Bedard? Do you think they did it on purpose? The management, not the players. No.
No, I don't think on purpose. I wouldn't say that. I can't say. I wouldn't say that ever. I don't think anybody does that on purpose. Is that in the middle of when they decided to make a rebuild? Like, you think about what they got, right? Like Jonathan Taves, Patrick Kane. They are committed to this rebuild enough that they're going to move on from them, right? This is
those two I do understand, but guys like DeBrincat, Kirby Dack, those guys I don't understand.
Young players.
Yeah.
But they're new, and it's they're good players, but like there's also like I think, in my opinion, I'm not an insider by any means. I just played and kind of get a little bit. Just because they're good players doesn't mean it fits the what they want is the culture in Chicago or what they believe takes to win. You know, they are legit. Yeah, they're really good. Like DeBrincat's a 40-goal scorer, right? Like he's a very good hockey player. That doesn't give him, just because he plays Chicago doesn't mean he's automatically that for Chicago or Doc. You know, he's an unbelievable hockey player, great hockey player. And personally watching, I watch them a lot because I love watching Kaner. I didn't see the fit there, to be honest with you, in Chicago. I like him a lot more in Montreal, but I don't know. So they're rebuilding, retool. You know, there's a lot of smart people there that have been around the game a long time. They know what pieces need to fit in what goals. You know, it's amazing that it worked that way that they got the first pick, though, isn't it?
I think they had the same odds back with Patrick Kane. I'm not sure, but that's some coincidence.
Yeah,
just like Ducks in Crosby's draft, they were like the team had more chance, and they don't have the first.
Right. Let's go, Zach. Next.
So, who were that guy that you can't stand on the ice except Jonathan Taze? Not Taze, Tavares. Sorry, John Tavares.
I got no problem with JT. He's fine. Brad Marchand.
Brad
Marchand,
of course.
He was such a rat. He was. You know, I mean, he's amazing at what he does. Not to take it away. I mean, it just didn't like even it started, and you know, him and Steve Downey. They're cut from the same cloth. Him and Steve Downey are cut exactly the same cloth. Brad Marchand's a lot better hockey player than Steve Downey, but they were both the same thing, like just nonstop, pain in your ass. You know, just little stuff. So he sticks out.
Yeah, they're both players that you love to be on your team, but hate when they're on the other team. Yeah,
100%.
Go, Jay.
Wait. Have you played against Sean Avery? Because I heard this is a rat too.
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't really have any issues with him. He was too busy going at it with James Wisniewski. When I was on the island, he was with the Rangers, so him and Wisniewski were going at it every single game, nonstop, chirping each other. So it was kind of nice that Wiz took that on and got Avery's focus on him, so the rest of us could just relax.
Okay, so who's the best player you faced?
Crosby, Sidney Crosby.
Okay, yeah, that was quick, huh? Again.
Yep.
Okay, let's continue. Who's the hardest player you had to play against? Thinking about defensemen, I think, but like you decide.
You know, one that came to mind was I didn't play against him a ton. I didn't play against a lot of people a ton, right? I only played 115 games. So, but one that was really surprising, it was Marian Hossa. I didn't realize how good and how big he was. He was a monster. And the problem is, as a center, like when he starts coming down low, like, how do you get the puck? He's 6'3", 220, and he's a house. And he's so skilled with it, right? He was really like, the times you get to play against him, that was a big shock. Again, and it was a pain in the ass to be on the ice with him because he's such a monster. So, you know, trying to contain him was not that easy. So that's one that for sure was not a shock per se. I just didn't see him enough. He was in Atlanta for a long time. So you don't see him that much. It's not in a big market.
Mm-hmm. Do I go again?
Non, ben, il en reste. Écoute, on va laisser. We're gonna let you go. So one last question from Zach. Ta question sur le Saison.
Yes. It's not answer. What would you say to Rob who just being drafted? In French, we said like 16 years old when it's a younger player when they being drafted to OHL. But I'm talking about your NHL draft.
What would you say to the Rob that is just being drafted?
Yeah. What would I say? I would say, you know, just stay focused and stick to your moral principles and stick to what got you here. Okay. Is what I would say. I think, that's it. I mean, if you want me to carry on, but that's, you know, through the course of it, you can lose yourself, you lose your way, you try to listen to everybody, what you have to do, what you should do, what you're supposed to do. There's so many things coming in. So it's, you know, there's a reason why you get drafted. There's a reason why you're there. Those principles are your values. And that's, again, what got you there. So I would probably stick to that more. That's something, if I can go back on my trail. Yeah, just definitely lost my way a little bit. So good question.
Yeah. So Thank you so much, Rob, for your time. It's almost 11 up where you are, so thank you so much. We're going to let you go. We're going to wish you good luck for next year, and I hope you enjoyed your last hour.
Yeah. No, thanks, guys. It's great to meet you guys.
Thank you so much.
you.
Glad that we can talk to you. Thank you. Oh là là, c'est dur en anglais, hein?
Oui, hein? Ça faut que ça dérouille un peu.
Ouais.
Quand ça parle,
Écoute, ouais. Écoute, en même temps, le gars, il y avait beaucoup de jasettes, il y avait beaucoup de quoi à dire, fait que ça a été super intéressant. On va lancer le segment Laissons la parole aux chroniqueurs. On va demander à Seb et Jules de rentrer avec nous autres. On va essayer de faire un petit résumé vite de ce qui s'est passé. Fait que Yes, fait que, écoute, un bon podcast, écoute, c'est sûr que ceux qui... Seb, je suis sûr que t'as rien compris.
Oh, j'ai juste du mélange en arrière.
Fait que, si je te demande de résumer le podcast, là, t'es dans la merde.
Je vous laisse
On
le
est dans la
faire.
merde. Okay. Fait que, je sais pas, Jérémy, mettons, qu'est-ce que t'as retenu de ton côté?
Ah, moi, honnêtement, j'ai retenu une joke qu'il a faite là, quand j'ai parlé des tough guys. J'ai dit Mark Method, puis j'ai marqué son doigt. Il a fait la joke de Sidney Crosby d'être encore fâché de la Coupe Mémorial. Ça m'a fait bien rire, cette affaire-là.
Ouais.
J'ai retenu ça. Là, je pense que ça ferait un beau petit clip. Tu sais.
Oui, c'est sûr que c'est difficile de repartir du début puis de tout résumer ce qu'il a dit en français. Écoute, on avait été un média ordinaire, peut-être qu'on aurait posé une question, on aurait traduit. Sauf que vous avez vu, on a fait 1h26 avec lui, juste en parlant en anglais, finalement, parce que c'est un gars qui aime parler. Fait que imaginez si on avait, c'était pas beau ça. Si on avait traduit à chaque fois qu'on lui pose une question, écoute, on serait pas couché, là.
On serait pas couché, hein, il est 3h30. De quoi on n'est pas couché?
C'est vrai.
Ben, on aurait dû poser 3 questions, puis on aurait fait 1h30. Là,
ouais.
Il y avait tellement de sujets, puis il y avait tellement de jasettes. Là.
Ben, c'est ça. Puis il disait tellement de stock qu'on avait le goût de juste poser plein de questions en surplus, parce que c'est tellement intéressant. Il y a tellement eu d'expériences différentes que...
Ouais, à jouer dans beaucoup de pays comme ça, c'est sûr que tu en ramasses des expériences, comme tu disais, que ce soit joueur ou coach, là, en ramassant des affaires de pratique, mettons. Il peut partager ça à ses joueurs qui vont commencer à entraîner l'année prochaine. C'est vraiment hot comme expérience.
Ben, moi, j'ai hâte de voir parce que c'est quand même, je pense qu'ils font partie un peu de la ligue russe, là, dans un sens. Même s'ils sont en Chine, ils sont comme...
moi, je pensais avoir compris qu'il allait avoir une ligue en Chine, justement, puis genre, qui commençait, peut-être pas pro, là, mais...
Ben,
tu sais, dans le fond, on recule juste d'une couple d'années, là, il y avait une équipe d'Hong Kong dans la KHL. Okay? On recule de 2 ans, 3 ans max. Là, je pense qu'ils ont décidé qu'ils ne renouvelaient pas depuis que la Russie a envahi l'Ukraine. Ça,
je pense qu'il y en reste juste 2 en ce moment en Chine.
Il reste
dans la
le Red Star.
Puis Sochi.
Sochi, ça, c'est en Russie.
OK. T'es sûr?
Ouais, Sochi, il y a eu les Olympiques, si je me rappelle bien. Là.
C'est bon.
Ouais.
Mais il y a le Kungyung ou quelque chose comme ça, Red Star. Là.
Yes.
De toute façon, les noms chinois, hein, c'est assez dur à dire.
Puis, tu sais, politiquement, Hong Kong n'est pas dans la Chine. Fait que.
Non, c'est ça.
On explique ça pour rien, mais très intéressant, vraiment. Là. J'adore ça, le monde qui ont de la jasette de même. Ça fait changement des fois. Là.
Ouais, puis ceux qui.
C'est facile à interviewer que quelqu'un qui répond 3 mots à une question de 7.
On n'en a jamais reçu, de toute façon, du monde qui répond 3 mots à des questions de cette ligne.
Non, absolument pas. Mais tout ça pour dire, qu'est-ce que t'es. Quoi? Vas-y, Seb.
Je voulais que Jules lui parle un peu de son podcast de demain, t'as qu'à être là, mais si tu veux continuer sur Rob, t'as autre chose?
Dans le fond, ce que j'allais dire, c'est que il va y avoir des clips sur YouTube, il va y avoir les sous-titres en français. Renaud va faire des clips avec les sous-titres en français pour ceux qui n'ont pas compris, parce que c'est juste que ça serait juste trop long pour traduire tout. Sinon, Jules, c'est ça, dans le mille, demain, pas demain, mardi.
On dit, ouais. Ouais, mardi, c'est quoi vous avez parlé?
Ben, Mardi, on reçoit Jean-Philippe Glaude qu'on avait reçu à Sur la bande. Mais là, je pense qu'on aura. On en avait parlé dans le podcast, justement, on avait quasiment plugué qu'on allait se reparler. Là, ça va être un 30 minutes vraiment concentré sur le U18.
Hey,
la liste de Bob McKenzie, qui est une liste un peu de consensus de plusieurs recruteurs de la Ligue nationale. Et on va parler, c'est ça, un peu de c'est quoi être un scout et de c'est quoi en général, de peut-être ses opinions et autres. On verra. C'est un gars qui a de la jasette, qui est très sympathique. Fait qu'on va essayer de rester dans le 30 minutes, mais d'aller chercher le plus de fait possible.
Non, justement, c'est ça que j'allais dire. Dans notre podcast, c'est quasiment fait 30 minutes, puis il restait tellement de choses à dire. Défaites-le le 30 minutes, on s'en fout.
Non, là, je pense qu'il y a juste 30 minutes demain.
Ouais, JP, c'est ça. JP, il a comme dit qu'il y avait juste 30 minutes.
Mais c'est correct, là. Il m'a payé un billet d'avion. Je vais aller à Nashville le rejoindre le jour du draft. On va continuer à parler. Sinon, c'est ça. Puis que, aussi, bon, il y a dans le 1000 mardi, mais demain, c'est pas rien non plus. Là. Je veux mettre un peu toi, Seb, ou Claude, ou Zach. Là.
Demain, on reçoit le commissaire de la LHGMQ, Mario Cecchini. Je sais pas si jamais je le dis bien, là, mais on va le recevoir demain. Jules, tu vas être là. Moi, Zach, on va être là. Claude en coulisses, il va reprendre sa place parce que moi, je suis. Non, c'est Jules.
Ouais, prends ta place.
C'est de la LHMQ, mais ancien. C'est-tu l'ancien owner des.
Non, c'est l'ancien président des Alouettes. Ouais. Il va y avoir un petit segment football avec lui demain. C'est sûr que, écoute, on n'a pas eu grands invités qui parlaient de football. Là, on va en avoir un.
Non, c'est sûr.
Ben, sur la bande au football, c'est un peu.
Ben, sur la ligne de côté.
Ouais, c'est ça.
Sur la ligne de
côté, ça serait drôle.
Yes. Je vais parler un peu des étoiles de sur la bande parce que Jérémy est là, c'est quand même un de nos chroniqueurs de suite. Fait que les 3 étoiles de la semaine en première position, Camille Jean Tondreau. La 2e étoile, Johnny Évêque. Puis la 3e à Jérémy, vu qu'il est ici aussi. Good job, tu fais des belles articles très intéressants.
Ben, merci. Ben, il y en a beaucoup d'entre nous, des chroniqueurs, qui font des articles plus actuels. Moi, j'essaie toujours d'aller plus d'un côté historique puis de rechercher des petites pépites dans le passé parce que, ben, moi, c'est ça, je vais être un enseignant d'histoire, donc chercher dans le passé, ça m'intéresse. Fait que j'en profite, puis j'essaie de sortir ça de temps en temps. Là.
Ah ouais?
Oui, je vais être un enseignant. Il en faut, hein?
Yes. Puis en parlant de nos chroniqueurs, on a un nouveau chroniqueur, Sébastien Leblanc s'est ajouté à notre équipe. Il va parler un peu des autres ligues du hockey au Québec, des articles NHL. On a aussi un nouveau, j'ai oublié son nom.
Christopher.
J'ai pas fait encore l'annonce, j'attends sa photo, mais on a un nouveau.
Il y a juste ton nom de famille, il va falloir que tu nous envoies un message vocal pour comment dire, parce que là, c'est assez compliqué.
Non, c'est ça.
Mais moi, pour revenir à Sébastien Leblanc, j'ai bien hâte qu'il nous parle de la LNAH parce que c'est une ligue que je ne suis tellement pas et que je pense qu'il peut vraiment être du bon hockey. C'est sûr que la plupart du temps, c'est des joueurs qui se rapprochent de la retraite, mais en même temps, là encore là, on ne sait jamais, ça peut devenir une ligue de développement ou une ligue en dessous de la ECHL, parce que c'est reconnu pour une ligue de bagarreurs, mais il y a quand même du talent là-dedans. Il y a quand même des anciens joueurs de la LNH et autres. Fait que j'ai hâte qu'il nous en parle un peu plus. Je sais que dans sa candidature, il avait parlé de ça, puis moi, c'est vraiment ça qui m'avait intrigué. Fait que j'ai hâte de voir qu'est-ce qu'il y a à dire là-dessus.
Pour ça, LNH, si quelqu'un ne s'en souvient pas, on a reçu un joueur, Maxime, c'est ça?
Maxime, oui.
Lui, il vient de ça, la LNH.
Oui, l'an passé, en fait, les Lions prenaient le joueur de la LNAH, pardon. Cette année, ben là, il y a eu un conflit entre les deux, fait qu'ils n'ont pas pu. Mais,
il y a eu un conflit?
Oui, ben dans le fond, un joueur de la LNAH qui allait jouer un match ECHL cette année, il aurait été suspendu. Ouais, c'est ça. Mais l'an passé, les Lions prenaient le joueur-là quand il avait besoin de backup.
C'est OK. Ben, ça, c'est une autre discussion. Ça m'étonne.
Je vais parler un peu du draft LHGMQ tant que tout le monde est là. Le draft LHGMQ, ça se passe samedi le 10 juin à 10h. Jules, je pense que tu vas être là avec Renaud aussi.
Ben, j'espère parce que je n'ai pas encore mon horaire de stage de cet été. Mais le samedi, je devrais être là. Puis je souhaite vraiment être là parce que la liste est sortie et j'en connais une bonne gang là-dedans. Puis j'ai hâte de voir le dénouement, puis de voir, surtout pour vous, avec des fans, voir c'est qui que vous repêchez au 4e rang. Parce
Alex One.
Ça pourrait être Alex Wang. Je vous le souhaite. Mais encore là, dans la liste, Zachary Morin est 3e et on sait très bien que Zachary Morin ne va pas dans la LHMQ. Donc, il devrait être
Non, c'est ça. Ça va être quelque chose. Puis en parlant des drafts, je fais l'annonce tout de suite, le draft NHL, on va le faire en direct aussi. Jérémy, tu m'as dit que ça dépendait avec ton père, je pense que
Ouais, c'est ça, mais il y a des chances que je sois là, mettons.
OK.
Je vais essayer d'être là avec vous autres durant la journée.
Toi, Zach, je pense que t'es parti. En voyage?
Espagne.
Ouais, c'est ça. En Espagne, durant le draft NHL, puis durant le draft LHMQ, je vais être en tenue pendant mon bal de finissant du secondaire.
Tu sais bien parler anglais, tu parleras en espagnol pendant le draft NHL.
Déjà, chez nous, il va falloir que je me réveille pour savoir qui a été repêché. Là. Pas chez nous, mais je veux dire, même que je sois là-bas, il va falloir que je me mette un alarme pour savoir qui que Montréal va avoir repêché.
Au moins, tu vas pas manquer de série parce que je peux te dire que moi, je me suis couché tard en France. Là. Les games, ça commençait à 1h, puis l'autre 2h30 du matin. Fait que...
Ouais, sauf que.
Tu sais que t'as fait un podcast?
Ouais, non, c'est ça, ça a fini tard.
Je connais pas ta situation dans ton voyage, sauf que moi, c'est un voyage avec l'école. Fait que, tu sais, on se réveille à l'heure que les profs le disent, puis on va faire ce que les profs disent dans la journée. C'est pas moi qui décide.
Fait que dans des futurs Jérémy qui vont venir casser le fun aux jeunes.
Fait que je pense que c'est pas mal ça. Fait que manquez pas cette semaine, comme on a dit lundi, la commissaire de la LHJMQ. Puis mardi, ils vont recevoir JP de l'autre qu'on avait déjà reçu sur la bande. Ça va être 2 très bons épisodes.
Puis on a du merch. J'ai hâte de voir ça.
Yes!
Ouais, c'est bon. Fait que on se dit à la prochaine.
Ciao.
Yes, bye.
Trompé.